The sprinkler clicked off with a metallic gasp, the kind that always seemed too loud for our neatly fenced-in backyard. Water dripped from the spinning head and pattered onto the grass like a slow, lazy applause. It should have been peaceful. Familiar, even. But instead the sound carved straight into my nerves because that was the moment, my life split down the center. I didn't know yet why my chest suddenly tightened or why my breath snagged halfway up my throat. Some part of me did know, instinctively, the way a body recognizes a coming wound a fraction of a second before the blade enters. I stepped out onto the deck expecting to call my wife, Maya, to help me haul in the bags of mulch I had in the truck. Instead I stopped. Stopped like someone had yanked an invisible chain around my ribs. Two shapes in the yard. Her. And him. Ethan's hand was on her hip, not casually, not accidentally, not the brief, brotherly clap he sometimes did when greeting her at barbecues. This was different. His fingers curved with a kind of ownership, the way a man held someone he believed belonged to him. Maya's back was pressed against the cedar post of the pergola I had built with my own hands. Her head tilted, lips parted. Ethan leaned in, murmuring something too quiet for me to hear. Something that made her smile in a way I had not seen in God, months, maybe. The moment hit me like being shoved underwater. Heat behind my eyes, an icy drop in my stomach, a pressure in my ears that made the world sound muted, far away. I told myself I was mistaken, that I had misread the angle, that maybe she had tripped, maybe he had grabbed her arm to steady her, maybe. But people don't steady each other like that. They don't smile with that kind of softness. They don't linger. And wives don't look at your best friend like he's the one who makes their lungs work. I ducked behind the hydrangeas without thinking, barely hearing the squish of wet soil beneath my sneakers. The flowers smelled sharp and floral, too sweet. My breath puffed in quick, uneven bursts that I tried to quiet by sheer willpower. My hands trembled, and I shook them out uselessly, like I could fling the shock from my fingertips. I watched as Ethan brushed his thumb along her jawline, a gesture so intimate it hollowed me out. She leaned into his touch, gently, like she had a right to. The sprinklers clicked back on. Water shot upward in a high, glittering arc, droplets catching the sunlight like broken glass. The hiss filled the silence as they both jerked apart instinctively, looking toward the deck, toward where I had just been standing seconds earlier. My heart slammed against my ribs like a trapped animal. For a moment, I thought they'd seen me. But no, they relaxed after a beat, exchanging barely audible nervous laughter, the kind that made my skin crawl. Ethan said something, couldn't hear what, but Maya swatted his chest playfully, like this was all some light-hearted secret. My lungs burned. I wanted to storm across the yard. Demand answers. Shout. Throw something. Shake them both until their teeth rattled. But the instinct to hide was stronger. Roar. Something ancient inside me had snapped awake. Don't reveal yourself until you understand the battlefield. So I stayed crouched in the bushes like a man discovered in a life he no longer recognized, watching the two people I trusted most share a moment meant for lovers. I wanted to vomit. I wanted to cry. I wanted to tear up the grass beneath my hands just to feel something grounded. Because nothing in me felt real anymore. Not my heartbeat. Not my breath. Not even my own body. A memory flickered uninvited. Maya and me at our wedding, her hand slipping into mine, her eyes bright as she promised me fidelity, devotion, partnership. Ethan had been standing beside me as my best man, smiling with genuine pride. I remember thinking that day that I was surrounded by the two people who had chosen me above anyone else. And now here they were, together, in my backyard, sharing stolen affection in the morning light. My throat tightened until swallowing hurt. I closed my eyes, gripping the trunk of the hydrangea bush hard enough that bark dug into my palm. When I opened them again, the scene was the same, unchanged, undeniable. Maya stepped back finally, brushing her hair behind her ear, a nervous habit of hers when she felt exposed or fragile. Ethan took her hand briefly, squeezing it before letting go. They spoke quietly, their expressions serious now, a shift that made my stomach clench even harder. I strained to catch their words. He doesn't suspect, I heard her whisper. My pulse roared in my ears. Just need more time, Ethan murmured. More time for what? My vision tunneled. The betrayal was exactly as sharp and humiliating as I always imagined betrayal would feel, except deeper, heavier, like someone had reached into my chest, taken hold of my heart, and wrung it like a wet cloth. I needed air. Real air. I backed away slowly, keeping low, until I reached the side of the house. My legs felt unsteady, made of static and jelly and pure trembling disbelief. I gripped the siding, grounding myself as I sucked in slow, ragged breaths. Images kept flashing behind my eyes, every red flag I had ignored, every small shift I had rationalized away. Her phone always face down on the counter. The late-night work sessions. The sudden extra care with her appearance. Ethan showing up more often, offering help with things he never cared about before. The weird tension last month when I came home early and they'd both been in the kitchen, standing too far apart, too stiff. I had felt it. A creeping wrongness. A subtle misalignment. But I had convinced myself I was tired, insecure, imagining shadows. God. I had been stupid. Or maybe just trusting. And trust, once shattered, doesn't crack cleanly. It splinters into 1,000 tiny fragments that lodge themselves into everything. Your memories, your self-worth, your sense of reality. A sound behind me snapped my head up. A door closing from the back deck. Muffled voices moved inside the house. Panic gripped my throat, the instinctive terror of being caught even though I was the wronged one. I straightened, wiped my palms on my jeans, and walked toward the front door like I had just returned from a casual morning errand. By the time I stepped into the foyer, they were in the kitchen, voices too calm, too normal. "Oh hey," Maya called, smiling as if sunlight didn't still cling to her lips from someone else's breath. "You're back early. I was just about to make coffee." Her smile was warm, familiar, practiced. Ethan turned, raising his hand in a lazy greeting. "What's up, man? Thought you were heading to the nursery." "I did," I replied, my voice miraculously steady. "Mulch." I lifted the bag in my hand as proof. It felt absurdly heavy. Maya stepped closer and kissed my cheek, the same cheek that burned now like it knew she'd pressed her lips to another man minutes earlier. "I'll brew a pot. Want breakfast?" "Sure." I watched her move around the kitchen, her motions smooth and domestic. Pouring water. Setting the filter. Humming a soft tune. A tune I now recognized as the same one she'd hummed last night when she stepped out of the shower with flushed cheeks. My stomach twisted. Ethan leaned casually against the counter, talking about some game he saw on TV, pretending nothing was wrong. Pretending he wasn't burning with guilt. Except, he wasn't. He seemed normal. Almost too normal. And that was when a new realization slid in beneath the heartbreak and fury. They weren't just having an affair. They were confident. Comfortable. This wasn't new. And if they were this at ease, this integrated into my daily life, they believed I would never know. The coffee maker beeped softly. Maya turned, smiling brightly, handing me a mug. I took it with steady hands I did not feel, because something inside me had finally, irrevocably shifted. The heartbreak was still there, raw, bleeding, but beneath it something darker coiled awake. Something cold, deliberate, calculating. Not rage. Not violence. Revenge. Not the impulsive kind. Not screaming in the yard or smashing things. No. Something slower. Quieter. More precise. The kind done right there. In the same backyard where they had taken everything from me, but without them realizing until it was far, far too late. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was restless or overcome by sobs or pacing the hall like a ghost, though maybe I should have been. No, my mind had become something colder, sharper, a machine that kept turning and turning long after the lights were off. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw them again under the pergola. Her leaning in. His hand on her hip. The shared laughter. The quiet whispers. At first, the images made my heart ache so violently I had to bury my face in the pillow just to keep from shouting. But after hours of replaying it in the darkness, something in me hardened. Shards of grief crystallized into something new, something eerily steady. I realized then that grief eventually becomes clarity. Clarity becomes resolve. And resolve, if pushed hard enough, becomes strategy. By the time the sun pulled itself over the horizon, I had already built a blueprint in my head. Not perfect, yet, but clear enough to pursue. A plan that would unravel them from the inside out. A plan that wouldn't require screaming, violence, or anything that could make me look like the villain. Quite the opposite. I would let the truth destroy itself with its own weight. But to do that, I needed information, evidence, proof. A complete picture of what Maya and Ethan were doing behind my back and for how long. Breakfast was silent except for the scrape of forks on plates. Maya was chatting about a co-worker's birthday party next weekend, her tone bright, almost overly rehearsed. She didn't notice my stillness. Or maybe she did and assumed it was early morning grogginess. Ethan showed up around noon under the pretense of borrowing my power washer. I handed it to him with a casual wave and a stiff smile. He grinned back, oblivious, or confident, to the point of arrogance. "How's the project going?" he asked. "Which one?" I replied. He shrugged. "You're always building something." "Always building something." Yes. And now I was building something designed for collapse. When he left, I went straight to the small safe I kept in the bedroom closet. Inside, among old documents and receipts, was a spare phone I used once for work emergencies. I powered it on, wiped it clean, installed a discreet audio recorder and a remote access app. Then, when Maya went for her afternoon jog, I placed that phone exactly where it needed to be, in the hollow underside of one of the outdoor benches near the pergola. It had a perfect view of the yard. Just in case. Next, I installed a motion-triggered camera disguised as a garden light near the hydrangeas, the ones I had crouched behind when I discovered everything. The irony wasn't lost on me. The camera wasn't meant to watch them kiss. It was meant to watch them lie. That night, when Maya returned from drinks with co-workers, I asked how it went. She didn't blink. "Great. We talked about the fundraiser next month." I nodded slowly. "You smell like Ethan's cologne." Her blood ran cold so fast I heard the silence. She laughed lightly, too lightly. "What?" "No," I hugged Jenna. "Her husband wears something similar." I didn't push. Didn't accuse. Just let the lie hang between us softly, like a thread she didn't even realize she was pulling tighter around herself. For the next several days, I became a ghost in my own life, but a methodical one. I watched patterns, recorded schedules, observed the shifting dynamics with silent precision. Maya had always been affectionate with me, but now that affection had become sporadic, inconsistent, measured, almost compensatory. Some nights she curled into me with sudden bursts of neediness, as if trying to overwrite something guilty inside her. Other nights, she withdrew so completely that I felt like I slept beside a stranger wearing my wife's skin. Ethan's visits increased, each one brushed off with the same casual tone. "Just dropping off the ladder. Thought I'd help you fix the gutters. Wanted to show you this funny video." Convenience became a cloak for deception. But I never confronted either of them. Not yet. The first real crack came on Thursday night, when Maya took a shower after her jog. Her phone buzzed on the sink. Normally I never snooped. I had always believed trust was the cornerstone of any marriage. But trust was dead now, decayed and long buried. So when the notification lit up, I looked. It was Ethan. "Can't stop thinking about earlier. Call me when you can." The pit in my stomach twisted, but I forced myself to focus. I clicked the message thread open, scanned quickly, took photos of everything with my own phone. The messages went back 6 months. 6 months. My hands trembled, but not with shock. That feeling was behind me now. This was something colder, emptier, like frost spreading across a window pane. This wasn't a fling. It wasn't a moment of weakness. This had been a second relationship, parallel to mine, running beneath my feet like a hidden river. At dinner, Maya laughed at a story about her co-worker's terrible haircut. She made spaghetti, wiped tomato sauce from her lip with casual innocence. And all I could think was, she has been living 2 lives. And one of them had been built on top of the one I thought we shared. After she went to bed, I checked the camera footage. Nothing yet. But on Saturday morning, I got what I needed. Ethan arrived earlier than usual. Too early. Maya looked surprised, but not unhappy, to see him. I watched them through the camera feed on my phone as they walked toward the back pergola. Ethan Saturday. Maya stood close, too close. They weren't touching, but the space between their bodies wasn't the space of two friends. It was the space of two people who had memorized each other's warmth. Did he suspect anything yesterday? Ethan asked, voice low. No, Maya whispered. He's been tired. Work's been stressful. Work's been stressful. That was how she explained my quiet, my distance, my carefully measured expressions. Not suspicion. Not heartbreak. Just exhaustion. But then Ethan said something that made my breath freeze. Maybe you should just tell him. Maya stiffened instantly. Tell him? Are you insane? Ethan ran his hand over his face. This sneaking around is killing me. A pause. A long one. Maya looked away. Just let me figure things out. Figure things out. That wasn't remorse. That was indecision. Between me and him. Between loyalty and passion. Between past and present. It wasn't the answer Ethan wanted. I knew that from the way his jaw tightened. And in that moment I understood something vital. Ethan wanted her fully. Not occasionally. Not secretly. Entirely. And Maya wasn't ready to give him that. Not yet, anyway. That imbalance was leverage. The kind of leverage a man could use. When they finally separated, Maya walked back inside while Ethan lingered in the yard, running a hand through his hair in frustration. I watched him pace. Kick at the dirt. Clench his fists. His emotions were loud, turbulent, clumsy. I realized then that Ethan might have been bold enough to touch my wife in my yard, but he was not bold enough to navigate uncertainty. He wanted control, stability, assurance. And he wasn't getting that from her. Which meant advantage, me. That night, after Maya fell asleep, I sat on the edge of the bed and thought about the next step. Confrontation was too small, too easy, too predictable. That would let them become martyrs of passion, two lovers caught by an unfeeling husband who never understood them. I wanted something deeper, something precise, something that would make them unravel each other. I thought of the text messages, the video footage, the installed audio recorder. None of it was explosive on its own. But together, it was a fuse. A fuse I could place between them and watch burn slowly until the explosion tore their fragile loyalty apart. The next morning, the universe handed me opportunity wrapped in quiet domesticity. I was sitting at the kitchen table, scrolling through my phone, when Maya came in wearing leggings and an oversized sweatshirt, tying her hair into a loose knot. Where are you headed? I asked casually. Yoga class, she replied, grabbing her keys. But her voice faltered on the last word. Guilt. Just a hint, but enough. As she left, my phone buzzed. A notification. From the hidden camera. Motion detected at the pergola. Ethan. Again. The timing was too perfect. Too suspicious. I opened the live feed. He was pacing. Checking his watch. Muttering to himself. Waiting. Waiting for her. But she was already halfway across town in a yoga studio. Or wherever she actually was. An idea hit me with stunning clarity. If Ethan thought Maya was avoiding him. If he believed she was pulling away. If he suspected she was having second thoughts. His insecurity would drive him straight to the truth I wanted him to confront. He was just the other man. Always would be. Unless he forced her to choose. And if he forced her to choose while I quietly fed each of them information, nudging doubts, planting seeds, they would destroy each other without me having to lift a single visible finger. I breathed slowly, the beginnings of my plan tightening into form. By evening, everything was ready. By the next morning, the unraveling would begin. Not with shouting, not with violence, but with a whisper of doubt placed exactly where it would hurt most. Between them, morning arrived with the quiet, deceptive calm of a lake hiding a storm beneath it. Sunlight streamed through the blinds in soft slats, warm, familiar, utterly unbefitting of the chaos I was about to orchestrate. Maya lay beside me, still asleep, her breath slow and steady, innocent looking, peaceful. The kind of peaceful you only earn when you believe your world is intact. Mine had already cracked. Hers was next. I slid out of bed carefully, grabbed my phone, and stepped into the hallway. The house felt hollow, like a stage before the actors arrived. My plan began with something simple. A text. Not from me, but from a number Ethan didn't know belonged to me. A spare work number I hadn't used in years. I typed, "She's lying to you. She wasn't at yoga yesterday." I didn't sign it. Didn't clarify. Didn't add flair. Confusion was the first wedge. I hit send. Moments later, I heard the soft buzz of a reply through the app connected to Ethan's phone. "Who is this?" I didn't answer. Let his mind chew on it. Let suspicion take root. Next, I checked the audio recordings from the bench phone. Only wind and distant traffic for now. Fine. I wouldn't need more than what I already had. Their secret meetings, the texts, the small but undeniable betrayals threaded across half a year. I walked into the kitchen where the coffee maker clicked on automatically. Maya joined me a few minutes later, hair still messy from sleep, eyes soft with the trust one no longer returned. "Morning," she said, taking a sip from her mug. "I was thinking of going grocery shopping today." "Yeah?" I asked calmly. "Need any help?" She shook her head. "Nah. Just a few things." "Things like meeting Ethan on the side? Or was today truly ordinary?" "Okay," I said gently, the perfect image of a husband trying. "Be safe." Her smile wavered, just a touch. A flicker. A glitch in the performance. Guilt again. She left around 1. 15 minutes later, Ethan's truck rolled up the street and slowed near our mailbox. Not stopping. Not turning in. Just watching. Waiting. His confusion was already working. He didn't know whether she was lying to me, or lying to him. He didn't know whether the stranger's message was real, fake, or something in between. Uncertainty fractures desire more effectively than truth ever could. He finally drove away, and I watched his taillights disappear at the end of the street. Good. Let him stew. By late afternoon, Maya returned with grocery bags and a distracted expression. Her phone buzzed once, then twice. She ignored both notifications, jaw tightening. She knew. Not what, but that something was shifting. Cracks were forming. And I wasn't even close to done. The first trigger. At 7:14 p.m., Maya's phone pinged again while she was in the shower. The screen lit up with Ethan's name. This time, the preview showed enough for me to see. "We need to talk." Then another. "Who texted me? I know you know something." Then. "Are you playing with me?" Playing with him. Music to my ears. I didn't touch her phone. Didn't open anything. I didn't need to. Just knowing he was unraveling was enough for now. She came out of the bathroom with a towel around her hair, humming faintly before she checked her phone. When she saw the messages, her face dropped, subtly, but enough for me to see. "Everything okay?" I asked, stirring the sauce on the stove. She looked up quickly. "Yeah. Work stuff." Work stuff. She never even paused before lying. I nodded as if I believed her. She typed back quickly, then set her phone down, but I saw her hand trembling. Ethan replied almost immediately. She didn't open it. Not while I was in the room. And that was step 2. Pressure. Secrets suffocate under pressure. They rub against each other, heating into friction until they blister and burst. Dinner was quiet. We ate in near silence while her phone buzzed again and again on the table like a heartbeat she was ignoring. Afterward, she retreated to the bedroom under the excuse of feeling tired. I waited 15 minutes, then walked casually down the hall. The door wasn't fully closed. I could see her sitting on the bed, phone against her ear, voice sharp but low. "Of course I didn't," she whispered. "I'd never. I don't know who it was, Ethan. You're being paranoid." Pause. "No, listen. You need to calm down. You're making this complicated." Her voice cracked slightly on the last word. Complicated. Excellent. I didn't listen further. I didn't need to hear the words. Their tones alone were enough. Tension was stretching between them now, a thin, trembling filament ready to snap. The second trigger. The next morning, I let the second piece drop. I printed 2 screenshots. Just 2, from their messages. Not the most incriminating ones. Not the explicit plans or declarations of desire. Not yet. 2 simple texts. I miss you. I wish we had more time. And he has no idea. I placed them inside an unmarked envelope. Where? In the backyard. On the pergola bench. The same location where they'd first betrayed me. Not for them. For her. For when she met him next. Because I knew she would. People driven by guilt seek reassurance. People driven by lust seek proximity. And people caught between 2 loyalties seek clarity from the one whose validation feels most intoxicating. By noon, a camera alert pinged my phone. Motion detected. I opened the live feed. Maya and Ethan were there, outside, faces tight with strain, voices low and heated. Maya's shoulders were tense. Ethan's hands kept raking through his hair, pacing. Perfect. I increased the volume. I don't know what you want me to say. Maya snapped. I want the truth. Ethan hissed. Someone knows. Someone saw something. Saw something. I almost smiled. Maya pressed her palms to her temples. I'm trying to fix this. But you're making it worse. Fix this. Not stop it. Fix it. Ethan stepped closer. Are you having second thoughts? She swallowed hard. I don't know what I'm doing, okay? She took a step back. Away from him. He noticed. Wow, he said bitterly. So that's it? Now that things aren't convenient, you're running back to him. I'm not running anywhere. Their voices rose, emotion cracking through every syllable. And then, Ethan sat on the bench. The envelope slid slightly under his thigh. He froze. What's that? He asked, brows knitting. Maya looked confused. What? He pulled out the envelope. Opened it. Silence. A terrible, beautiful silence. His face went pale. Then red. Then something deeper. Betrayed, humiliated, afraid. He held up the screenshots with a trembling hand. Did he find these? Ethan demanded. Is this what you meant by complicated? Did he confront you? Maya stared, stunned. What? No. I didn't. Where did? You said he didn't know. He doesn't. Then who put these here? She shook her head rapidly, eyes darting to the house. I don't know. I swear. He stepped toward her, jaw clenched. You need to tell me the truth. Right now. Is he onto us? Her lips parted, but she didn't answer. She couldn't answer. Because answering meant unraveling everything. And the silence between them became an accusation. Ethan's face twisted with something dark. Anger mixed with fear. Fear that he'd been played. Fear that she wasn't choosing him after all. Fear that he was the fool. He stormed away, leaving Maya standing alone in the yard, shaking. The third trigger. The twist. That evening, Maya confronted me. Not with honesty, but with panic. She approached me while I was in the garage, pretending to sort tools. Have you noticed anything weird lately? She asked, voice too casual to be real. I paused. Weird how? I don't know, like someone's been around. Or maybe you misplaced something. I tilted my head. Are you okay? She swallowed. I had this feeling someone was going through my stuff. Kinda paranoid, don't you think? I said softly. Her eyes darted, fear flickering behind them. She wasn't afraid of me. She was afraid of being found out. And that was the moment she realized her world wasn't stable. Not anymore. But here's the twist. The plan wasn't just to make them tear each other apart. It was to make them reveal themselves without me ever lifting a finger. And then walk away from both of them with my dignity intact, and every legal advantage in hand. Late that night, when the house was silent, I uploaded all the screenshots, recordings, timestamps, and camera footage to a secure folder. Then I drafted a letter. Not to Maya. Not to Ethan. But to my attorney. I wasn't going to expose them in some dramatic showdown. I wasn't going to shout or break things or fight for scraps of a marriage that had already died quietly in my own backyard. No. I was going to let the truth destroy them slowly, publicly, legally, and with such devastating clarity they'd never recover from the image of me walking away unstained while they bathed in the wreckage of their choices. The next morning, I placed divorce papers on the kitchen table. Maya walked in wearing the same tired sweatshirt, rubbing sleep from her eyes, until she saw the envelope. She opened it. Read the header. And froze. Michael, what is this? I looked at her calmly, peacefully. Clarity, I said. It's what you wanted, right? Time to figure things out. Her breath hitched. You knew. I've known for a while. Tears filled her eyes, but I felt nothing. Not anger. Not triumph. Just closure. And Ethan, she choked. Does he? He'll get his copy today. Right about then, Ethan's phone buzzed in her hand. A message from him. We need to talk. Now. Everything's falling apart. Maya looked up at me like a drowning person reaching for the hand of the man she had pushed underwater. But I wasn't her lifeline anymore. You two can discuss the rest, I said quietly. I'm done. The doorbell rang. Right on cue. A courier delivering Ethan's envelope. Maya's face collapsed. But I walked past her, past the manila envelope on the table, past the home we had built on trust she had shattered, and stepped into the fresh morning air. Behind me, inside the house, her world began to crumble. Mine had already begun to rebuild.